news is problematic. If you're talking about disinformation, misinformation, propaganda, it's always been there. I think you could definitely say like the term fake news really was kind of coined by Donald Trump and sort of popularized during the US election. But like this has always been a problem, and it kind of, in some respects, existed before social media. Like you saw in India, where you had sort of people whipping up sectarian violence, but they're using photos and video shared via SMS. This is well before you had any of the social networks. But definitely there are issues with the platforms that make the spread of this content extend further and reach more people than it ever has done before. Yeah. So good.
Sir, by the way, I'm Tessa from Universionist. In the Philippines, there has been a history wherein news reporters would be the one to give misleading informations, or would be the one to provide disinformation. Wherein, like for example, one reporter said that he is in this place when in fact he's in another place. Like for example, in Marawi, when in fact he's only in Cotabato. So how do we correct this kind of practice, sir, here in the Philippines?
Well, that's a question about media standards, really. I mean, as kind of a personal level, is like sort of you're a professional journalist, like your reputation is everything, really. I would ask, sort of mention an example of a journalist who was misleading his viewers about where he was reporting from. Is he still working as a journalist?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good. I mean, there's also the role that we play as journalists as well, sort of calling ourselves and holding ourselves to account as a profession and maintain those standards. It's a difficult issue.
Is that correct? You're based in Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. It's difficult for a couple of reasons. The most important one is I can't read and speak Chinese fluently.
But the media situation in Hong Kong and to that of the Philippines?
I'm not expert on either country, so I wouldn't like to be drawn on that, particularly as I don't speak Filipino and I don't speak Chinese well enough to answer that.
All right.
That there will come a time that this whole thing about fake news will eventually go away, will eventually will disappear,
No.
or just only lessen.
Unfortunately, no. I mean, sort of, I mentioned before that we've always dealt with misinformation, disinformation, propaganda. What we've seen it has been sort of weaponized
In elections.
by elections and also social media that has sort of extended its reach. From sort of in the past, it would be limited to smaller networks. Is this going away? No. Because there's always been a problem. Are there steps that we as journalists, that the platforms, Facebook, Google, Twitter, can do to help tackle sort of the problematic content? Yes. People are working on this. Is this going far enough? That's really a question for the platforms.
Thank you, sir.
The proliferation of fake news is something positive or negative for society, because some are saying that through the proliferation of fake news, it has made us, or some of us, think critically. But what's your take on it?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I kind of pick fault with the use of the word fake news. I think that's problematic, is that it's being used to discredit reporting of that's been used to discredit valid reporting by journalists, by politicians. So I think I've lost the thread of the conversation. You're asking, like, has it benefit people because it's making them think critically? Well, so I sort of have issue about sort of the term fake news, of how it's being used by politicians. I think it's better to use misinformation, disinformation, because it's more accurate about what we're dealing with. Has this been a good thing, sort of being weaponized on social media? I don't think so. I mean, is it a good thing that people think more critically about the sources of the information they use? That is a good thing. I think what we've seen is, as people have shifted away, or at least many people have shifted away from getting their news through the TV, through television news, through the newspaper, they're relying on getting their news from social networks with much less reliable sources, and have sort of fallen into filter bubbles where they're only seeing partner views that are being reinforced. And I don't think you can say people are thinking critically about these, and they're not really being exposed to alternative views within this filter bubble. So I don't think that you could call that a good thing. No.